Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will be released on the 5th of May 2023. As Marvel looks ahead to Phase 5 of their plan, this movie will serve as a final chapter for the group. Most actors have confirmed that they will not be returning for any future movies. Since director James Gunn already left Marvel and is now in charge of superhero rival DC Studios, it is safe to say that this movie will serve as a massive goodbye to fans. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will play off after the events of the Avengers Endgame. There is quite a bit that we do not know about the plot of this movie. In the final chapter, Peter Quill is still reeling from the loss of Gamora. However, he will quickly have to pull himself together in order to lead a rescue mission. A big focus point of this plot will be Rocket. The trailer indicates that we will see a lot more of his past and how he ended up as a talking raccoon. Guardians of the Galaxy is obviously a fan favorite within the MCU, and thus fans are understandably excited. With most of the original Avengers cast already written out of the MCU, it will be interesting to see how they navigate the exit of the Guardians. Although Guardians of the Galaxy is a massive hit for the MCU, box office trendings are not going too well for the movie. Currently, the movie is projected to have an opening of $130 million. While this number might sound impressive, and it is, there are also a lot of context to take into consideration. First and foremost, the movie is already trending better than the first movie, which debuted with $94.3 million. Although, it is lacking behind the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie, which made $146.5 million in its opening. Additionally, the movie is also lacking behind Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which had an opening of $187.4 million. Now there is a couple of things that need to be pointed out here. The prediction for this movie is all just based on pre-ticket sales. It is entirely possible that all of this will still pick up significantly as time gets closer. Secondly, I do not think that this movie will be a box office disaster by any stretch of the imagination. While Phase 4 and 5 of the MCU has been nothing to write home about, most agree that Spider-Man and Guardians are the exceptions to this rule. James Gunn is a brilliant director, and I won't be surprised if this movie manages to break $1 billion at the box office. However, should a movie as popular as Guardians of the Galaxy fail to perform, it certainly will be disastrous for the rest of the MCU. The term superhero fatigue has been thrown around a lot. There will be no better proof of this term than this movie failing to perform well. As stated, this will also be the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie for James Gunn. With James Gunn now fully appointed in his role as CEO of DC Studios, this will be his final goodbye. Now, with the internet being the internet, Gunn's exit from Marvel has been met with some resistance. You have those who praise his hiring at DC and those who are upset. People have been very quick to jump on James Gunn whenever there is promotional work that needs to be done for Marvel. Some people will criticize Gunn for promoting Marvel movies while being in charge of DC. There was recently quite a bit of hate online for James Gunn when he did promotional work for his Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. In fact, some fans were so vocal that Gunn had to respond publicly. On Twitter, he stated that Warner Bros. Was happy that he still worked for Marvel as well. James Gunn has also been very vocal in the past about the two studios competing with each other. He stated that he does not believe the two studios are competing. Most people do not really view superheroes through the lens of Marvel and DC. They just have their favorite heroes and want to see them on the big screen. There are not really too many fans that only enjoy one or the other. Most have favorites within both universes. Thus, there is more than enough space for both studios to exist. However, with two studios existing, it does open up a whole other door. This does bring me to the next point. Superhero fatigue is a term that has been thrown around a lot over the last few years. Some people believe it to be true and others don't. Personally, I certainly believe that superhero fatigue is real. I just don't believe that the fatigue comes from the audience. I believe that the writers and producers suffer from this far more than the audience. When studios are forced to release multiple superhero movies per year, fatigue is going to set in. Although there are different directors for each movie, oftentimes it is still the same teams working on each of them. Over at Marvel Studios, they have one team working on the vision of the MCU. They have one team working on post-production. When you overextend this group too much, quality will drop. However, we cannot ignore the fact that some people are simply tired. Over at DC itself, we have seen certain movies suffer that traditionally should do well. Both Black Adam and Shazam fail to make any meaningful impact. Over at Marvel Studios, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania failed in a similar fashion. Should a fan favorite like Guardians of the Galaxy fail as well, it will be terrible for Marvel. This will likely lead to a massive directional shift for Disney. I do not really see them pushing billions into these movies every year if they fail to make any meaningful profit. We already know these studios are stuck in a forever loop of infinite profit expectations. If they cannot reach those goals through quality, they will try and reach them through quantity. Overall, it is going to be very interesting to see how all of this is going to play out. Personally, I do not believe that there is anything to worry about when it comes to Guardians of the Galaxy. James Gunn has a proven track record. Furthermore, this movie is a fan favorite. People might not be too pleased with the latest work that Marvel has produced, but I have faith that they will show up to support this movie. Although some fans like myself have moved away from all things Marvel, we still have a few exceptions. Movies like Spider-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy will always form part of those exceptions. As we move closer to the release date, we will see the interest in this film pick up. Big blockbuster movies like John Wick and Super Mario Bros. Is also on their way out of the box office soon. This will open the door for Guardians to come in and fill that gap. Overall, I believe that things will turn out well for this final chapter.